Hello, I'm Brian LaBelle with GF Piping Systems, here at the Aquatic Animal Life Support Operator Symposium in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Have the pleasure of speaking with Mr. Gal Judah today. He's an area sales manager for GF Piping Systems in Canada. Gal, it's good to see you again. Always enjoy meeting up with you here at the Also Show.
Yeah.
You haven't always been a GF employee here at the Also Symposium. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and what you do for us up in Canada these days.
Right, so I used to actually come on the other side of the table. I was a life support operator for over a decade. I was the life support systems manager at Ripley's Aquarium of Canada in Toronto. I held that position for 8 years. And then I moved over to the Toronto Zoo, where I was the facilities manager for 2.5 years. I jumped ship and came over to GF about a year ago, and I've been an area sales manager for Canada for just under a year now.
We're really, really happy to have you on the team, that's for sure. Not just in this environment, but let's say especially in this environment where we're talking about what is required from a water treatment standpoint typically to make the environment safe for the aquatic animals within our care. It's one of the most important objectives of this organization, this professional trade organization, and it's a big part of what we do, GF Piping Systems, from a product portfolio standpoint, right? Starting with the process automation equipment, manual valves, actuated valves, sensors, instrumentation, and you have a lot of experience using those products together in applications in life support.
100%. GF is synonymous with life support systems. You go into any zoo, aquarium, aquaculture site, the instrumentation, the valving, the automation, it's always there.
Yes.
It's what we do day in and day out. So it was a very easy transition to come to GF because I worked with you guys every day. I had most of the catalog in my building. So it's a very, very smooth transition for me.
Yeah.
And it is very important. Water clarity, water quality are top priority for any aquatic exhibit. And GF's catalog offering, hands down, is what people trust in the industry.
One of the things that I'm really excited about, and we heard about it a little bit this morning during the opening ceremonies here at the Also Symposium, is that this Aquatic Animal Life Support Operators organization will be partnering with an aquaculture organization next year. So taking the technologies and the applications that we're all very familiar with now through this organization within the aquarium, the commercial aquarium market space, and combining that and combining organizations with the aquaculture world to kind of expand the market a little bit.
Yeah.
We're really looking forward to the up and coming growth opportunities within the aquaculture market. And you have some experience with that, I think, recently.
Yeah, so part of my clientele working at George Fisher is with aquaculture facilities. And a lot of them reside in the West Coast, but they're moving inland. And they're relying on closed system circuits called RAS systems to create this aquaculture environment. And GF, along with a lot of the other vendors here, essentially are helping build those facilities. And aquaculture is just like any one of these exhibits. It's just a lot more heavily stocked with animals. And the same goal.
Larger scale.
Larger scale and larger volume of water, larger volume of animals. So, but the same principles apply. Water quality, water clarity. They need these animals to make it to market so that they can actually be used. And instrumentation is key for that. You need to make sure that your sterilization levels in ozone, you need to make sure that your dissolved wastes, you make sure your pH, your ORP, everything's got to be on point. So essentially, it's the same world, just different facets of it.
Right.
So that's why it's so closely related. A lot of the vendors you see here that work with our product work with aquaculture as well. So it's just, again, same world, just different applications.
Right. Now, a lot of people think of salmon farms when they hear aquaculture, but it's a lot more than that, right? You mentioned trout and some other animals.
So when you think of aquaculture, people just generally go to salmon because salmon is so heavily fished and it's such a big part of the food industry, but it goes across the board. Any fish that you would find at a restaurant or a supermarket, so halibut, cod, trout, these are all animals that they're producing because this is what the market's driving. But aquaculture goes past that point. There are a lot of aquaculture facilities that also work on reintroduction. So you look at coral farms that are grazing corals that are more temperature resistant, reintroducing them. You're looking at fish farms that are growing fish that you find in the hobby trade that were overfishing and pulling out of the ocean that are now reintroducing them. So aquaculture spans a wide scope. It's not just food. It's pretty much a way to stop mankind from pulling everything out of the ocean and maybe giving some back as well.
Love it. So there's positive developments for the environment and sustainability issue, from food sources to, as you mentioned, reintroducing algae, reforestation of the ocean.
Exactly.
The ocean reefs, the coral reefs.
Yeah, and I think a lot of these sites realize that there's more opportunities for sustainability. So good thing about GF is we can kind of help them in every facet of that. So a lot of them are going to biodigesters to help, you know, if they're moving fish waste, they actually will make their own fertilizer and sell that off to farms, aquaculture, or they'll use biodigesters to create renewable energy. So thankfully, everything from HDPE to PVC to CPVC, I mean, we can help with that.
Right.
Yeah.
And you see this aquaculture industry only growing in the coming decades.
Yeah, I think that the world's realized that we can't keep pulling resources out of the ocean. Population's too big and the resources don't have a chance to kind of bounce back. So these closed loop systems are gonna become more pronounced, and I feel like the only way that we can help give back is to kind of stop pulling from the environment and start figuring it out ourselves.
Yeah. And it's fortunate and by design to some extent, with sustainability being one of the pillars of our GF strategy globally. The process automation portfolio and the pipe valves and fittings in the GF piping systems portfolio are really perfectly matched to the applications that we see not only in the aquatic animal life support systems, which is why we're here at this symposium, but also the broader world of aquaculture.
Exactly, and I think you can speak to a lot of the reps here and they'll say it themselves. A lot of the operators, facilities are 50 plus years old and they still have our old 8900s and they're still working. So I think the big thing is sustainability, but also longevity. You're not gonna have waste if your product lasts longer. And that's where I think we come in.
Well, we sure love having you on the team.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks a lot for your expertise and sharing that. You've been very generous with your knowledge, and look forward to working with you
Sure.
into the future in these exciting new markets.
All right, cool.
Thanks, Cal.
No worries.